ripperonis and pepperonis, my comment section after this video. I can only imagine. But an interesting topic. I think it's important to give people, their props. When they say, hey, I'm going to do a thing, and they do it, I don't think that enough people get props for that. It's like people get ragged on when they don't, obviously, but when they follow through, I think sometimes you give props. And Dana White has stood on business. He has stood on principle, and really shown that he is about freedom of speech in his spirited response to what one of his fighters had said on one of their podcasts. Now, what this individual said on his podcast, his name is Bryce Mitchell, I believe. And on his podcast, he basically says, I think that the mustachioed fellow from Germany was probably a good guy. He was a good guy to go fishing with. He fought for his own country. Okay, that part maybe. He wanted to purify it by kicking Jewish people out. Talked about them, quote unquote, queering everyone up, all this kind of stuff. Now the comments are flowing. I know. I hear you. I will read them because it's going to be a while down there. You see Sam Tripoli saying, here's a breakdown of the percentage of society that thinks that he was the worst human ever, 95%. Wrong. He was fighting the bankers, 4.9%, also wrong. Or that he was British and American-controlled op to help destroy Germany from within, 0.01%, also the truth. I don't know. I am not a scholar on this. I mean, I know kind of in general about the things that he stood for and believed in. I think Bryce Mitchell certainly can say whatever it is that he wants to say. This country has a First Amendment right. He's allowed to say these things. Saying that, the bad guy from WW2 was a pretty cool guy, pretty good guy, someone to go fishing with, is spicy. Maybe he's just doing it for PR or press. I mean, I don't know. But, of course, a cancel mob. I don't want to spend forever on what Bryce said because it doesn't matter. If there's a level above that he said, and he said it, it wouldn't matter. We have a First Amendment right in this country. People can say whatever they want to say. Then Dana White was, of course, immediately asked about this, saying, are you going to punish him? Speak for, speak on behalf of your man. What are you going to do? And so Ariel Helwani, who I believe, well, I don't want to guess at his heritage, but I'm pretty sure, is it his dad or uncle, Gad Saad? I actually think that that's true. People maybe got on Dana for his response here, but I don't think they're actually listening to what he's saying. Dana responds by saying this.
So before we get started here, let me get some fucking dumb shit out of the way first here. I'm out here, have fun doing Power Slap tonight. And I'm sure you guys heard what Bryce Mitchell said. If you haven't, he said some probably, I've heard a lot of dumb, ignorant shit in my day, but this one's probably the worst. When you talk about Hitler,
yeah,
he was responsible for the death of 6 million Jews, and he tried to completely eliminate a race of people. World War II was the deadliest war in history. 15 million military deaths, 45 million civilians, and 25 million soldiers were killed in World War II. Second of all, Hitler was one of the most disgusting and evil human beings to ever walk the face of the earth. And anyone that even tries to take an opposing position is a moron. That's the problem with the internet.
So now people are like, but Dana, you're attacking him. No, Dana's saying what he wants to say, and he happens to disagree. And certainly what that guy said, he's entitled to his belief, just like Dana was entitled to his belief. The important part is coming up.
And social media. You provide a platform for a lot of dumb, ignorant people. we've obviously reached out to Bryce, and when we read what he said and let him know how we feel about it, I don't even, we're beyond disgusted. So for those of you that don't know what's going on, good, you're lucky. For those of you that do, that's what I have to say about it. Who's got the first question?
Hey, Dana.
Hey.
It's obviously not a fun topic to talk about, the Bryce stuff. I think that's a great statement that you just gave. Does Bryce Mitchell face a punishment from the UFC for
Now,
saying
That's what everybody wants.
this is the question, right? Is the UFC going to punish? Because I can guarantee you 100% with 100% certainty, somebody in the NBA, NFL, NASCAR, F1, tennis, ice, NHL, competitive fishing. If any of these people had said this, they would be facing significant punishment.
Wants to hear about punishments. Free speech. I don't have to love it. You don't have to love it. You know.
I agree with that, the free speech sentiment. Is there a concern, though, right, if he goes out and wins?
He's saying, oh, I agree with free speech, but... No. There is no, I agree with free speech, but. You either get free speech or you don't. It's an incredibly great position to hold. Because you never have to, you never have to worry about the exceptions. It's either all okay or none of it's okay, and it's all okay.
A fight and gets a mic.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about this business. For all of you that hate Bryce Mitchell, you get to see him hopefully get his ass whooped on global television. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? You know where I am with free speech. We're disgusted by it. I think he's probably one of the dumbest, literally one of the dumbest human beings. Let's not forget that this is a guy who took a drill.
I'm not going to talk about it. He drilled through his scroll.
That's the level of stupid that we're talking about here. And I could probably go on for 10 minutes talking about how dumb Bryce Mitchell is. But guess what? Bryce Mitchell has a podcast.
I believe this was episode 1.
What a way to start. But that's the world that we live in now. Dumb people who are really stupid and really ignorant can have a voice. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. I'm giving you mine and the UFC's position on what he had to say. And this is no different than things that I've said about Strickland, But I will say this. Out of all the dumb, ignorant shit I've heard in my life, this has to be the dumbest and most ignorant.
Last thing from me on this. When you spoke to Bryce about it and said, this is disgusting, did he have any sort of I was just talking, or did he walk it back at all?
His thing was, I'm sorry if I put you guys in any position, and,
But not sorry for saying.
He's stupid. He's dumb. You can't fix dumb people.
Now, so a lot of people take, and you could take his admonishment of Bryce, you can get sensitive about it, but the bottom line is he did not punish him. He's going to let him fight. He's going to let him make his money. And, of course, the media wants all sorts of punishments. They want this guy absolutely on person. Bryce Mitchell is 17-2 in his UFC career. He's a good fighter. I think, did he lose his last fight? I can't remember. I'm not up on the UFC really. Dana doing the right thing, condemning what the fighter says, but especially for not canceling him. Mitchell is correct about the cultural problems we're facing Germany because of the. There is a lot of discussion to be had about that. Some of the stuff that's come out of Germany in its past is pretty, spicy. Hodgson says, we stand with our boy Bryce Mitchell. Let that crazy white boy say whatever he wants. That's what freedom of speech is about. People say unfollow, don't defend bad guys, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't think I would agree that he was a good guy that was just fighting for his country. You could look at some of the medical experiments, all the stuff that he was in charge of. There were other worse people actually on the planet, I would argue. Or, you know, there were people around him that were worse. But like, that's not exactly a discussion. You know, I've only got a finite amount of controversies or lives that I have to be online, and I don't really want to burn up the rest of what I have arguing whether or not I think, you know, the level of how bad that guy was. You could talk about, you know, I saw people even defending like, well, he never did meth. Of course he did. His drug use was widely documented. There's videos of him basically vibrating off a bleacher seat at the Olympics. Again, the fact that he did drugs is like the least bad thing about him. So I'm not, you know, I think that the world is more complicated than black and white in most cases. But I think in the point of this video is to give Dana White credit for saying, hey, look, I don't agree with what that guy says, but I'm not going to fire him for it. That's how free speech is supposed to work. And Dana White is about to face some serious backlash, I suspect, from the powers that be, from the media. They're going to want this guy unpersoned. But we're going into a weekend, so maybe they'll all forget about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.